I would say my rags were having tea for dinner.
Oh my God. Okay.
So yeah, but it is not actually something which I want to forget or something. I have had tremendous fun doing that too. And
Mm-hmm.
it is not something which I feel that, I want to forget or probably not go back to. I would say it taught me in a different way, and a lot of things which I am today, all the empathy that comes today, and the
Mm-hmm.
credibility has been thanks to those times which have come inside.
Hi, hello, namaste to all my listeners. I'm your host, Sarthak Varshney, and I welcome you all to the Balls of Steel show, where you get an insight into the business mindset of the entrepreneurs. Dhandho ni Soch. Our today's guest is Mr. Shubham Patil. Hi, Shubham.
Hi Sarthak, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in, Shubham. It's great to have you. Finally, this podcast is happening. It's been due for a long, long time right now, and we've been trying to get this done.
True.
Right, right, right. So, Shubham, let's move ahead and tell me, what is the business that you're into because of which we're gonna say that you've got the balls of steel.
Sure. So I'm Shubham Patil, Managing Director of Nuts Over Web, and we are a public relations agency. So
Mm-hmm.
we are into marketing and public relations. These two niches are where we have been working for almost 3 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and we we basically curate custom tailored plans for our clients, where the client's brand authenticity is something which is at the core, and then it is decorated around with brand empathy. So that is how the plans
Okay,
work. Yeah.
okay. That's nice. Okay, so this seems quite interesting, and the time duration that you've been in the business. So why don't we dive deep into this journey, Shubham, and why don't you start from the very starting point of this journey and take me through the complete journey till the current point at which you are.
Sure. So my journey as such has been more of like, it's been riches to rags to riches. So that is what I like to call
Okay,
it in a way. Yeah.
okay,
So I come from a very well brought up background as such, because my dad was a local politician at a time when I was
okay,
growing up.
okay.
So as you can understand with that, I have been pretty privileged, I would say, at the
Mm-hmm.
when the time a child is growing up. So it has all been
Mm-hmm.
very good. But almost 5 or 6 years back, my dad was actually diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Okay.
So yeah, so that is when a lot of things had went down. We did
Mm-hmm.
whatever we could to get him
Mm-hmm.
out of that, and probably to keep the ship floating. But
Right.
we couldn't, and
I'm
he
sorry.
lost the battle almost. Yeah, he lost the battle almost
Okay.
a year and a half later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was the time which in a way, it was a disheartening time as such, because so it is a time when I was broken emotionally as well
Mm-hmm.
as financially.
Okay.
So that is how it went from those riches to rags, and that was the time when I
Okay.
decided that I have to go out and earn those pennies now for the family, because I'm the only one left who's gonna make bread and butter here.
Right.
Yeah. So that is when I decided to come to Pune. So basically,
Okay.
I'm born and brought up in Kolhapur, which is a city located near Pune itself, around 300 to 250 kilometers away from Pune. So I decided to
Mm-hmm.
come to Pune, and you wouldn't actually believe the first business as such which I started was I used to sell shoes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the shoes which we could the shoes, the one which are 7AA quality shoes, those shoes which
Right.
are not original but they look like original.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that is how it got started, and that was the very first business which I dived into.
Okay.
And so it all went good for a month or two, or probably 3 or 4 months. And after a quarter, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that the business is something which is my thing, and I think I should dive inside it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to
Okay.
grow this. So I decided to go inside and get into the shoe business itself. But
Mm-hmm.
after a while, the guy who was providing me with those 7 AA quality shoes,
Mm-hmm.
he stopped completely. So again, I had something which just started and it completely fell down. So it was again back to the exact zero where I had started it off.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so this is when I decided to uh,
Mm-hmm.
let's just find a job. So we get that monthly, what we can say, we can yield that monthly income out of it.
Sick.
So that is
Right.
when I
Right. Right.
started the job. Yeah. So I started as a telecaller in a Pune based
Okay.
firm. So it was a start at that time. And
Mm.
probably that was something which uh, the CEO thought that I was good at. Even I didn't thought that I was good at calling people and talking to them. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what he saw inside me, and he was like, "All right, let's go ahead and get this done."
Okay.
So yeah, so that is how I started with the telecaller, and as
Mm-hmm.
time passed around a year, so the company which I telecalled for was also a creative agency.
Okay.
So so they were into marketing and public relations and all of that. And that is where I started founding this keen interest inside the industry, and
Mm-hmm.
that is where I was introduced in a way to this wide spectrum of marketing and public relations.
Okay.
So I worked there
Okay.
for almost a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I left when I left the company. I remember almost I worked there for 13 months, and I left the company to join another UK based firm, which at the
Okay.
time was again had they had just shifted from UK to Pune, and
Mm-hmm.
they were looking for young people to join in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I joined in there, and I worked there for almost 9 or 10 months. And again, I was privileged enough, I would say, or I was fortunate enough that the company which I
Mm.
switched in was also a marketing and public relations agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I get it.
I worked there for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
this is how Nutso Web was formed. I tell this to a lot of people, and a lot of people still don't believe me. They feel that I am just giving out a politically correct answer or something which I don't want to disclose. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the truth. I was sitting on a table, on a coffee table with two or three another friends of mine,
Okay.
and I was like, कि, let's go ahead and कुछ करते हैं खुद का.
Huh.
And and one of those friends, she was like, कि, ठीक है, if you want to do, why don't you go ahead and get a startup done?
Huh.
So, and it hit me at that exact moment. I was like, yeah, why not, man? Because I have been generating some clients for other people. I have
Huh.
been I've been earning good by giving people
Mm-hmm.
their clients. Then why cannot I make clients for me? Why cannot I
Right.
have them for me? So that is how it
Right.
all got started. And
Right.
after almost, I would say, we had this conversation, and almost in 25 to 26 days is what it took for this idea to be on the paper and then start getting executed.
Right.
Yeah, so that is how we were up almost in 1.5 months. We were up running with all the formalities done. And
Okay.
uh, I would say it was again a privilege that the same friend who suggested me that you should go ahead
Huh.
and get this started was one of the first employees of the company as well.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
nice.
so
That's
that
nice.
is how
That's
we
nice.
started. Yes, so
Okay.
that is how we started.
And right. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. And from then the journey has been going on.
It has been, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is there anything that you want to add to this, or shall I start, bombarding you with my questions?
Let the questions start coming.
Okay, okay, okay. So, before we jump into anything, let's. Why don't you tell me something about your educational background? What was it like?
Sure. So again, that is something which is as quirky as the startup is. So I am a
Okay,
half engineer turned
okay.
business admin, a bachelor's in business administration. So I did my engineering for 3 years, and that is when I decided that I want to back out of it, and I'm not going ahead and getting it done anymore.
You decided after 3 years, completing 3 years in
Yeah.
engineering.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
So
that's
I
a
have
good
seen
time to decide.
that.
That's a very
So
good time, and actually, you could have had a degree after another year. But okay, okay.
um,
Then,
it when it comes to me, I have never been that guy, where that validation, or in a way that degree has not really mattered that much for me. I have been more of
hmm,
like, that whatever comes in the experience, if I'm loving it, I'm going to do it.
okay.
So that is how I switched from engineering, and I completed my bachelor's in business administration.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that is it when it comes to education. So I've had some
Okay,
extracurricular courses and all of that, which came to go
right.
with the business.
Okay, okay, okay. I get it. Okay. So, as we move forward, yeah, you told us that your dad was a local politician in Kolhapur, right? If I said that right, right.
Yes, correct,
And
correct.
uh, you've been privileged, and you came from a well-to-do background initially, as you would say. So now what I really want to know is that when you talk about business and talking to many people, it was pretty clear that talking to them that there were seeds of these business that were being sown somewhere around their in early ages, right? Now, the differences that I want to talk about is when we talk about a well-to-do family, right? Sometimes those seeds gets lost. I'm saying sometimes, and sometimes parents do push their children that you have to look at the business, and this is the business that we do, and the child starts picking it up from there, and whatever happens in the family, right? But since your father was a politician and not exactly into business, so if I want to relate your initial business instincts, where can we get that from? Where do you get your initial instincts from business from?
So uh, the initial instincts were mere out of the need of making bread and butter, to be very honest and blunt. So that was
Okay.
the first thing, that you need to make money. If you want to make money, there is something which has to be done, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're not educationally qualified enough to get that out of it, maybe there's other
Mm-hmm.
way out to get
Right.
it done. So that those were
Right.
the basic instincts which pushed me towards doing my very first business, which I told you prior, was of
Mm-hmm.
going out on the street and selling them, selling those shoes out.
Okay. So so initially, if we talk about your childhood, what were your dreams like? What were the goals like? Was it towards anywhere towards entrepreneurship, or was it like you
Or
live life along with the flow, or some? What was it like?
exactly, exactly. So the dreams which I had were nowhere collided with being an entrepreneur as such. If you talk about my childhood, and it
Mm-hmm.
was it was sort of like जो भी होगा देख लेंगे. So there's बहुत
Okay.
time pada, and it was more of like that. As time passes, probably I'll find what I need to do, and the right
Right.
things will fall in place.
Right. Right. So with that attitude, you've been moving forward in your early age, if you look at it.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Now, what I want to know is that you told us, your dad uh, passed away fighting cancer, and after that, there were problems emotionally and financially that you faced, and after which you decided. So, if you don't mind me asking, what was your age around that time?
I was around 16 and a half, reaching those 17 and 18 years, around that.
That
Yeah.
that right, that is definitely a age when emotional things would you would have gone through emotional problems. I can completely understand. Okay, so now what I really want to know is that there are two dots that I would like to connect and ask you about.
Sure.
That you told us right now that you started the business out of the simple urge to make bread and butter, right?
Right.
And
Right.
also this was the time that when you started really selling shoes. So 16 is a pretty young age to do any sort of business. So what was your mindset at that point of life? Because as you're telling me that there was no one and you had to take care of the family, and I completely understand that it somewhere motivated you, but how was it like? But still, there's still so many questions. How will I start? From where will I start? Moving out.
Right,
You also said that
right.
you guys you moved to Pune. So who took all these decisions, and what was your mindset? What did you really go through? Tell me more about that time period.
Uh-huh. Sure, sure, sure. So just to correct, it was around 18 when I decided to move out and start getting done with the
Okay.
business and all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when at that time it was so I had a friend. I would tell you. So I had a friend who was running a very business successful business model on Instagram. Instagram
Okay.
was not that of a big thing at that time. It was something which was just booming, and
Mm-hmm.
this is the same guy who was selling shoes, but on a you can say he had upscaled it to a level where he
Mm-hmm.
was almost running a SME of his own there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I one day I visit him and I sit with him and I'm like, ये सब चल रहा है and I wanna go ahead. I wanna do something of my own. So what do you suggest?
Mm-hmm.
So this is when this guy opens it up and he shows me that this is what I do. And if you want, I can give you at the price which I am getting them at a
Right.
no to mere profit. And if you can sell them, I'll give you more.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so that is how it all got started. And I was like, all right, let's do this then. If somebody is telling me that I can put inside these things, and if you can go and just sell it, I'll give you more, and you pay me back whatever it is once you have sold the entire stock which has been given to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, so something like that. Yeah, so I have been always like this that if an opportunity knocks, my doors have always been open to them.
Mm-hmm.
It has been never something like that somebody has come up with something and I find it interesting, or if I feel that it is going to be profitable for me at
Mm-hmm.
that time, at that age, was something when I was only thinking about what is profitable for me or what is going to get me out of this situation and probably in a better
Mm-hmm.
situation where I could stand and then look after the other part as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the mindset at that time. And I I I feel that I still say it that it is not just always about the hard work, but it is
Mm-hmm.
also about catching up on the right hands which are given to you.
Right. Right. Okay. So you kind of took on that opportunity at that point of time, and then you started with this
Definitely.
selling of the shoes. So did you make any kind of investment into this, or it was like he would procure the items for you, and you would just sell it, and then you would do some transactions for you guys? So what was the spirit like?
It started off with zero investment as such because the only
Mm-hmm.
deal which we had was
Mm-hmm.
he told me that I'll give you this, you sell me this
Mm-hmm.
in a month or whatever the limit which he had pointed out of, and if I sell it
Right.
in that, I pay him
Mm-hmm.
whatever is his and I keep whatever is mine. But the
Okay.
only
Okay.
at that time I found this as a devil, but now when I look back, I feel that he that was the right thing which he did. He told me that if I don't sell them in 2 months, I still have to
Mm-hmm.
pay him.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so at that time I thought that कि क्या है यार this? I'm trying and there is a guy who's telling me that if I don't sell those things, I still have to pay him after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I look
Mm-hmm.
back, I feel that it was all which motivated me, and
Mm-hmm.
it got the task done from me in the limited time span which he had provided me. So those were the
Okay.
early moldings which had put me into the bracket of this entrepreneurship.
Right. 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 Okay, so and what was your parents like? What was your mother's support at this point? So, are you the only child?
Yes, I'm the only child.
So, what was your mother's support at that point of time?
Oh, mom has been like really supportive of or- she has been like supportive for almost everything that I have done, and
Mm-hmm.
that goes back. That also goes back to my dad, because she has been very supportive of him and me, and whatever we used to come up with, whatever it is, she's like, if you believe in it and you feel you can make it happen, go ahead, get it done.
Wow, it's been a tough journey, then I would say. Okay, okay. So this
Yes.
is this is getting interesting with time. Okay, so now what I want to know is, so your initial business around the age of 18, and you've already tasted what business looks like. Okay, and
True.
I would say that you were making some sort of money. I'm not putting any numbers to it, I would say, but
Definitely.
some sort of money. But that was probably enough for you and your mom and your family to go around along that at that point of
Right.
time, right?
Right.
And then this guy stopped supplying you the shoes and everything. So this point would have gone, motivating yourself to do it again and again. And then you needed security after the shoes stopped coming in, so that's why you joined in as a telecaller. Okay, so
Right.
now my major question that comes up is, that when you were doing this shoe business, this was nine, if I'm not wrong to say, this was probably all online business, right?
Not all online. Actually, I
Mm-hmm.
was not really that much at that time. I was not really, in a way, I didn't have enough information with me to understand how
Mm-hmm.
how I could, take it online and make it the next big thing. So
Okay.
I was doing it online partly, but I was also going door to door to sell them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's quite a work, yeah. Okay, so then also I can, somewhere still say that, they would have been some time that would be yours own time, right? At which you
Right.
can think, and you were with yourself, and probably with your mom and your friends and everything, that you can take time for yourself. And when you were about to step into this job as a telecaller, so did you ever had these thoughts, that my freedom is gonna get stolen away? Because now you definitely know, working as a job, as an employee
True.
somewhere, and doing your own business, they're all different terms. Even though you'd work even more harder as an entrepreneur, but still there's a
Correct.
different security altogether and different workload altogether in as an employee. What was your mindset when you were taking that switch? Was it just the security factor that was really concerned, that you were really concerned about, or was there something else personally also? Because switching from business to an being an employee, I really want to know what was at that point of time.
Actually, the thing was, this switch of having the freedom and then getting inside the corporate culture as such was
Mm-hmm.
actually quite easy for me, because
Hmm.
I wasn't familiar with what corporate culture actually was. So I
Okay.
was a man who had no knowledge about it when I made the switch.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
so it was something which was very less known to me, that this is going to take away my freedom and all of that. That is something which I
Mm-hmm.
got to know once I got the job, and 6 months into it, that is when I realized that this is how a corporate culture works.
Okay. So then after 6 months, what did the realization make you feel?
Oh my
कि
god.
यार 6 महीने पहले वो था, 6 महीने बाद अभी है. So what was that period like? Tell me more.
Definitely. Leaving for weekends has been, by far, I don't know about others, but for me, by far, it has been, uh, in a way, in a worst possible position I can be, living for weekends, because I had never imagined life to be according, where you go to office from Monday to Friday, or Saturday, Sunday is a weekend which you leave for.
Okay.
So that had been
Okay.
tough for me as such. And again, then that is when I realized, that what freedom is and how much it is worth more than making those extra pennies working for somebody else.
Okay. So when you had that realization at the 6th month, why did you continue for the next 6, 7 months?
um the realization was there, but then again I had another realization, that if I could quit now, and if this thing won't work out, I don't have a fallback plan to go back to. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then, uh, it is okay when you're not the only person who's making the bread and butter of the family.
Right.
So it is more of like when you have people who are dependent on you to
Mm-hmm.
get the things in line. There's always this responsibility which you have to look after at the first place, and then think about those. Then think about what realizations you have and what do you want to do according to that. So my first priority was always that that we make the home is secure. So then you go out and then you expand.
Okay, okay, I get it. So, Shubham, you told us that all this business thing started around eight when you were 18 years of age, and that is also the time when everyone starts getting into the college. And you also told that uh, you quit the engineering at the third year, so that was probably
Right.
when you were around 20,
Right.
21 something, right? So, what I
Yes.
really want to
Right.
know is all these businesses. Were you doing these parallelly with your college?
Yes, in a way, not really parallel, I would say, because dad was pretty well known
Mm-hmm.
into the town which I lived in, so he
Mm-hmm.
had some contacts with the college as well, and that was the same time when he was ill as well. So
Mm-hmm.
according to that, he had made some preparations in a way that I could just go in and give in those exams and nothing else. So I had a lot of free
Okay.
time to look after other things as well. So that is when
Okay.
all of this
Okay.
happened. Yeah,
Okay, so you utilize it in the positive manner so that you can take care of the part and grow yourself in the business out there. And
correct,
during this,
correct.
and so when you were doing this telecaller job, right? So at that point, were you doing your bachelor's in business administration as well?
Yes, I was correct.
Okay, okay, okay. So since
Uh,
your dad would have probably made arrangements for the engineering part. So how did you manage the business administration course? Was it completely by you, or
so
what was it like?
um, I had to go to the college. I had to tell them that what exactly the scenario was, and
Mm-hmm.
even the college staff had been like really supportive. They told me that I could. They used to give me those regular intuitions of what had happened inside the college and what I need to get done and how that
Mm-hmm.
works. So basically, I used to do work for the entire quarter, and when the exams would come in,
Mm-hmm.
I would take a leave for around 20-25 days, come back, study, and get the exams done, and go back to Pune.
Oh, so that means
Yeah.
you've been running back and forth again and again every 3 months.
Yes, and I would say not just that, but again, uh, I have seen a lot of good people in my journey. Again,
Okay.
this is all of this came together because the MD of the company where I was working was also supportive of me going back and giving those exams because I was given leaves of almost 20-25 days, no questions asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was something which helped. At the same time, the college was supportive. The college told me that this can be done, and things like this. Basically, all of them came together in a way so that we could make this happen.
Wow, yeah, I would say. I mean, I honestly don't believe in luck, but then the things really worked out in your favor.
Correct, correct.
And
What?
you've been, I guess it should be right to say that you've been really lucky getting such an MD at the job and getting in
Yeah.
such a
Yes.
college that both supported you for this. Okay, so the another question that pops up here, Shubham, is that every time, right? Every time we are struggling for anything in life, there's a vision in our mind. Okay, that
Right.
keeps on running back and forth. So I understand the vision that was there in your mind. That was, if I'm not wrong to say, getting a security for your family and for yourself, right? That was the major mission, if
Right.
I'm not wrong.
Staying afloat
Uh,
as such.
Right. So now what I really want to know
Yeah.
is when we
Uh-huh.
have that mission vision and when we are doing the struggle, we keep motivating ourselves with something, with this thing that we have to get to this. There will be a bright day. There will be a good Sunday where these things will happen. So, and with that motivation, we just do the struggle again and again repeatedly. So
Right.
when you were doing this
Right.
back and forth again and again, what was going through your mind? What, how were you really, you know getting yourself again to do that thing? Because I understand when the point when you're doing
Right.
this telecaller job, you know you've got to work from 9 to 5, 5 baje ke baad chutti hai. Maybe you can chill out with friends or maybe go for a coffee or drinks. But after 3 months in job, you don't even realize 3 months go by like this only, and then 3 months down the line,
Right.
okay, fuck, my exams are again there. I have to go back, study, and get done. So what was the
Right.
struggle like? What it felt like? Tell me more.
Oh, the transition was the hardest part, I would say, because I had to always be make the transition from being into a corporate life and then again going back to
Uh-huh.
being a student. So that transition was something which was very hard initially, but
Okay,
somehow I
okay,
figured it out. And so what kept me
okay.
going was, I would say, so I always had this in mind that that I have already seen what good days look like, right?
Huh,
So from being leaving those days to then coming down
huh,
to these days. So
huh,
so
huh.
so if I can come from there to here, why cannot I go from here to there? So
Right.
that was the major which kept me going as such, because that is what I always thought. I don't know. I mean, there was no rocket science to it. That was something which
Mhm.
I had always thought, that if I can come from there to here, I can always go back to where I was. I just have to find a way out.
Right, right, right. So Shubham, if you don't mind me telling, we like everyone understands the definition of good, right? But
Correct.
there's a varying definition of bad, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
mean, when we talk about good, everyone would know, ठीक है, घर है, गाड़ी है, बंगला है, खाने पीने टेंशन नहीं है,
Right.
नौकर चाकर. That's the
Right.
normal definition, right? But
Correct.
when
Correct.
we talk about bad, for someone having one maid could be a bad stuff, but for someone having no maid could be a bad stuff, right? So definition varies.
Right.
So if you don't mind me
Right.
telling, so that we have more insight about your life, what was your definition when we talk about rags? Because you told us that things went down. So what was it like for you?
Right.
Not definition, but what was your situation?
Um, I would say my rags were having tea for dinner.
Oh my god. Okay.
So yeah, but it is not actually something which I want to forget or something. I have had tremendous fun doing that too, and
Mm-hmm.
it is not something which I feel that I want to forget or probably not go back to. I would say it taught me in a different way, and a lot of things which I am today, all the empathy that comes today, and the
Mm-hmm.
credibility has been thanks to those times which have come inside.
Right. Right. So with this, I mean, listening to this, I'm literally reminded of the saying, if I'm not wrong to say this, but this was most likely said by Rock only, that you need to hit the rock bottom to touch the before you touch the skies, so that you know what it
Definitely true.
tastes like. So you hit
Yes.
those rock bottoms, and now you're aiming for the skies.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Right, right, right. Okay, so now coming back to your life track. Okay,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
now the thing that comes up is like you switched another job that was from
True.
telecaller to this creative agency, right? So
Yes.
was
So
there
I
anything?
joined in
And huh,
as
tell me.
a business development executive there.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And you also said that this was a pretty good paying job, and
Definitely.
so if I'm not wrong, this you joined this job after your after completing your graduation
Um,
in creative
I had
agency.
just given my last year exams. I had just given my last year exams, and that is when the results were yet to come out. So that is when I joined
Okay,
in.
that's when you joined in. So, was there anything going through your head? Was there any switch in the mindset, switching from telecaller to biz dev guy? Was there any switch in the mindset or something like that at that point?
So I basically, uh, I have always been the guy who has always set those simpler goals rather than making them more complex and adding things to it. So
Mm-hmm.
मेरे दिमाग में एक ही चीज था कि जाके जिधर भी जाओ आई हैव टू सेल समथिंग एंड देन आई
Mm-hmm.
हैव टू डिसाइड हाउ आई हैव टू सेल इट. तो मेरे को बेचने का है.
Okay, okay, okay. As simple as that.
As simple as that. Because then what happens is people give too many, it becomes a hierarchical tree, and then people put in too many aspects inside it, and they it gets a lot more confusing. So that is when
Mm-hmm.
what happens. Uh, Probably there comes a time when you cannot decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Okay. So, if I ask Shubham, what was this experience at the creative agency like? What did it teach you? I mean, was there any some different kind of learning from telecaller to a biz dev guy and a jump in the because even
yeah,
when you talk about telecalling and we talk about biz dev, so there in the hierarchy also it's a huge jump,
you would
right?
difference. Yes, definitely.
So, what was this experience like, and what did it teach you?
Oh, it was more of like moving from a pond to an entire new sea where you find an entire big world ahead of you, and
Okay.
there are so many things which you want to explore all at once. Everything is new. All the other species you're introduced to, all the other corals you are seeing. It is completely new experience, and I would say I was quite overwhelmed as such in the first month or two when I joined it, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of overwhelmed, overjoyed me, understanding that now you have a team to look after coming from where you had started and all of that. So all of that transition was something which was really quite, in a way, fun and overjoying for me.
Okay, I get it. Okay, and after this, you joined the next company that was the UK based PR agency firm, right?
Right, right.
And that was another whole level of experience, I would say, that would have started. And during this company, it was the coffee table incident that happened.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so now the question that comes up is, first of all, you started in the
Uh-huh.
very same field that you've been working for the past 2.5 years, if I'm not wrong, compiling both the
Almost,
companies or the
almost,
PR
yeah.
agency, right?
Right,
Almost three
almost.
years, and right, and you decided to work in the very same field. So,
Right.
I really want to know this. Did it feel like as if you're cheating on those companies?
Not really, because not it was never like taking something from them and getting it,
Haha.
use it for our own, in a way, what I can say, for our benefit. Because what they
Hmm.
do, even though, as you know, that the same, even if you are the same creative agency, all the creative agencies have their own points which are their credibility.
Right.
So what we have is a credibility which probably they don't have, and what they have is something which I don't have. So it
Right.
was more of like that. So they, uh, what I learned from there was how to, how to sell the products and what you can do and how you can,
Hmm.
analyze and make curate something out of it. So that was something which was taken, but in a way, the idea which formed this company was completely different than the ones which I had worked for.
Okay. Okay. So then, why don't you enlighten me more about this idea? What was the idea really like? That that you were able to convince yourself that okay, this is where I will be creating my USP, which would be different from these
Right,
two companies I've worked for.
right, right. All right. So again, I was pretty good with talking with people as such when I
Okay.
started off
Okay.
as well, because again, the experience which I had of talking to people, knocking the doors, is the probably I feel is the toughest job to do. That knocking the doors and telling them that you want to sell something, and are you interested in
Hmm.
buying? So
Right.
that, in a way, taught me to talk to people and convince them to buy stuff. So that is something which I was good at. And
Hmm.
when I started this company, so Nuts for Web basically started as a digital marketing agency. So that is how we got started. We were completely
Right.
into digital era and all of that. And I felt that I'm good at talking with people and I can convince them to buy products with authenticity.
Hmm.
So that was the idea behind it as such.
Okay. 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 So you basically vouched on your talking skills.
I did.
That's nice, and that is how you got your first employee. Also, the very same person who was like, "कि कर
Right,
ले इसको जाके."
right, right.
You
No, because
talked her out of a previous job.
true, true, true.
Nice, yeah. I mean, then all the normal, common people should be scared of you. You can talk people into anything.
No. But I basically try and talk people into what is good for them.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Then you should, I mean, the big people should target you for the being the salesman, yeah? Next Zig Zigzag, probably.
No, no, no. Anybody can come down and talk to Nuts or Web and basically get on with our public relations program, and you get me for free inside it.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so now Shubham, what really comes up is due on this coffee table only. This coffee table means a lot to your life, I would say. And
True,
right, so
true.
on this table only, I wanna put this another question that
Uh-huh.
when you came up and told that you want to start this company, and instead of getting other people clients, I should get them for myself and get the work doing and everything, and you
Mhm.
already had the insights how these companies are working,
True.
yeah, and you were the biz dev guy also, so definitely business was there somewhere now in the head, already one experience before
Correct.
also. Now what mattered was stepping back into the entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
Right, from the secured part. Now, what was the mindset like? Because now, though, you had a lot of experience in different sectors. You had a taste
Right.
of the entrepreneurial sector also. You had the taste of job security factor, and now you were doing pretty well also. But coming back and starting from scratch, not even if a company always starts from scratch only, I would say, but
True.
starting from scratch and putting in everything again. What was this mindset like? Yeah, wapas going back to zero, bringing back the security which I have right now, risking it, was it worth it
Right.
or not? All these questions. What was that? How
So,
did you,
uh,
totally
as I said,
convince?
yeah. So it took 30 days to make this happen, and the first
Hmm.
25 days were the days where I thought about the same thing which you just asked me about.
Okay. So, Agar, if
So,
there's, more stories to the 25 days, I would love to know those stories also. Please do tell me.
oh yeah, definitely. So what happened was I went back and I decided कि ठीक है अभी खुद का कुछ तो करने का है. So now I have to sit down and calculate stuff and get those paperworks done, get everything done, write everything down on the paper, and then make it happen. So
Hmm.
that was the approach which I had when I came home that night. So
Okay.
I decided to go ahead and get all of that done. And in the first
Hmm.
15 days, I realized that okay, I've got all the calculations done, and the calculations say that I should not do it
Okay.
because who makes a switch when you have just struggled enough to get inside this security, the corporate life, and now that you have almost reached there where you are making good money out of it, you want to get out of it
Right.
again.
Right. Absolutely. I know. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So probably I would say again around 15-20 days later, I decided कि ठीक है, now I have to do something. I took all the papers which I had calculated on, everything which I had
Uh,
thought of, that ठीक है ये करेंगे तो ऐसा होगा, ये नहीं करना चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए. I put them inside a file and I put it up on the cupboard and they said कि ठीक है अभी हमको ये करने का है, let's go ahead and let's get this done.
okay. Even when the numbers were against you.
Yeah, so it was more of like a decision which in a way was opposite of the flow which was running.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm. That's understandable. But then, running against the flow is not easy. A shark flows against the flow, a fish flows with the flow. So you're trying to be
true.
a shark, converting from a fish.
When correct, correct.
So that was the only thing, and anything else in those 25 days. I mean, आपने decide to कर लिया. Now you're supposed to leave the job, and so anything you're in the
Yeah,
job, or maybe sometimes when
was
any employee leaves, they offer you higher salaries and all that stuff.
true,
So
true.
anything of that sort that happened with
It
you?
was really tough and such because so within the time I was there, the
Uh-huh.
MD, the MD had turned out to be quite a good friend of mine. Again, I was in a way I would say privileged that the CEO of the UK based firm was also pretty friendly with me. So that was the
Okay.
most that tough part to tell him that I am leaving because I want to do something of my own, and
Uh-huh.
telling somebody that you are leaving their creative agency to go out and start something in their own niche itself.
Right, right,
So that was
right.
the tough part, and eventually, but again I told him that this is what is happening, and I'm thinking of starting something of my own. And
Huh.
what do you feel? So the first thing he said was that, why would you do that? Because if you want to make more money, I'll talk to the officials, I'll talk to the director, and probably I'll get things done on board and running for you.
Huh.
As you said, the hype thing.
Right.
So I told him no, that I want to go ahead and get this done. So two or
Hmm.
three times he told me that that we could sit and we need to talk about this. If you're taking such a big step ahead of things when things are just starting to look good for you, why do you want to
Hmm.
dive inside the why do you want to dive inside the pool of mud again when you have just got
Hmm.
inside a proper. So two
Hmm.
three times he was supportive. He told me that, all right, so if this is what you want to do, go ahead and get it done. So that is how I had to tell him that that I am moving out and I'm doing something of my own.
Hmm. Okay, so that was something nice, nice. So now,
Right.
when you really decided to quit and start this thing, so what was the initial investment like? How did you, because registering the company in private limited, that's a lakh of rupees, and getting all those basic official things. Even if you want the office or you don't want the office, that's another question. But initial investment is always required if you want to start it like really properly out there, right?
Right.
So what was the initial investments like, and how did you take up a loan? Did you bootstrap putting all your savings in, or what was it like?
Oh no, it was more of like a bootstrap, but so there's a twist inside that as well.
Acha.
I landed up my first client before I
Okay.
landed up my first office.
You landed your first client before you landed your
Before
first
first
office.
office. So we didn't had started, and I already
Okay.
had a client who wanted to get a website done with my team, and again, so that was a project which funded the start of the company.
Okay. That's quite interesting. That's
Yeah.
quite interesting. Okay. Then in that case, I want to know, how did you land this client?
Okay. So again, that's a funny story. So
Right.
so one day, so there's a friend of mine, and he's got his friend who's sitting right next to
Uh,
me, and he's telling me that, dude, I've got this website done probably 2 or 3 years back, and
hmm.
it doesn't look that it goes with the trend. So he has charged me a bomb for it, and
Hmm.
it hasn't worked out. So I look at it and I'm like, so you know what? There's something which I'm starting. I've got all the scraps which are here and there. So there are things which are here and there. I'm just putting them together. Come here,
Hmm.
I'll show you. And what if I make it in half the price what he's charging you for?
Hmm.
So he's like, all right, देखते हैं. You give me a proposal and I'll come back. I'll get back to you. So
Huh.
this guy stays in Gujarat. All right. So
Okay.
he had come here for some work. So he travels back to Gujarat, back and forth here and there. So I make the
Huh.
proposal in 2 days, and that friend, the common friend of ours, he tells me that
Huh.
he's going to be there for some time, and probably he's
Okay.
going to come back to Pune around a week or two.
Okay.
And meanwhile, he's also in talks with the other guy, the guy who had
Okay.
already got his website done from, to lower his prices and remake it.
Okay.
So around we had he was supposed to come the next week. So what I decided was on this coming weekend that I'll travel
Hmm.
to Gujarat. I'll talk to him, and I'll tell him that, see, I have come here. This is how serious I am about your project, and let's make this happen. So
Hmm.
I travel there. I show him whatever it is. I would have shown it online as well, but
I know.
again, again it was more of like connecting to him on a level where he feels secure in our hands.
Right.
So
So you
that is
went
how it
there.
got done. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. So that's how you landed your first client. And generally, like, I do ask this question sometimes when you talk about the first client, that what was the feeling of the first transaction? Because now this is
Oh,
your baby, and you're trying to get things done for yourself right now. So what was this feeling like?
correct. But it is exactly same as watching your own baby stand on his feet for the first time in the world. It is amazing.
That really made me think for a second that, do you have a baby also?
Oh no, no, no. I this is already a baby, a 3-year-old baby that we are having with us. No, but at that time, when we started, it was actually like a baby for us, specifically for me, because I had blood, sweat, and emotions involved inside it.
Right,
So
right.
it felt great. It felt great to land that first client and get those first transactions done, and then probably shift into your first office
Haha.
and start with it. It always feels great.
Right, right. So that's how you landed your first client, traveling to Gujarat, and that's
Right,
how you started the company.
right.
That's it's quite a journey. And what did you really say to the employee, your friend in the previous company, to get her to leave the job and get her to work with you?
So
I want to know that.
it wasn't something that was too fancy as such. All right. So it
Okay,
was something which
okay.
I believe. I felt that when it comes to the corporate jungle, I like to call it the corporate culture, aka jungle, where
Haha.
a employee which is at a lower position and a
Hmm.
executive level employee, so there's a barrier
Hmm.
between them where they don't talk to each other.
Right, there is.
I have always believed that that any sort of employee or anybody who works for me should have a
Hmm.
direct access to the MD. He could talk to
Right.
me if there is something which is going wrong. He could talk to
Hmm.
me if there is something which needs to be addressed. That is
Hmm.
something which is the core value on which I function, because I have faced a lot of issues because of that when I
Hmm.
work for somebody. So
Right.
that was something which I told her, that that if you work for me, the only thing which I can assure you is that whatever questions, queries, or whatever you want to discuss, you want to give
Hmm.
options, you want to give opinions, reviews, you just have to knock, come inside, talk to me.
Wow. And she said yes. My God.
Yes.
This is
Luckily she did.
this 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 sounds easier than the
Yeah,
romantic
it does.
stories
It is
also.
also.
I told her, she said yes. I'm like, what?
So it sounds,
That's
it is easier said than done, actually.
I know, I know. I can completely understand that it's easier said than done, but it sounds really simple the way you told me right now. Oh my
Right.
God. Okay, okay, okay. That's nice. So the other thing that now comes up, Shubham, is so we are over the coffee table. Now let's move to your office table. Okay,
Uh-huh.
that you've landed your first client, you've got the office and stuff rolling up for you, and you started
Right.
rolling the business in. Now, what I want to know is how long did it take you to stabilize the business in terms of cash liquidity and the cash flow, and what was this period like? Because at this point of time, you were not just paying for your stomach, you were paying for the office, you were paying for the
Right.
overheads, you were paying for
Right.
your employees, all those people. So,
Right.
what was this period
Right.
like?
Oh yeah, so the first quarter was actually quite. I would say we had good clients, we had good people working with, and after 2 quarters almost, there came a time of crisis, which I feel that every startup comes in, where you are running low on cash. There is a lot of things going on wrong at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's leaving, somebody is coming in, somebody's appraisal time is there. Then
Mm-hmm.
a client comes in, he tells you कि आपके साथ campaign किया है, उसका result कहाँ है? So all of this happens
Mm-hmm.
with you. So
Right.
there was a time like that as well after 2 or 3 quarters. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if you're running something, and if you want it to grow, you always have to face whatever comes with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
So it took you probably around 7, 8 months, if that's right to say, to
so
stabilize the business in terms of
I would say a year. I would say a year.
year. Oh my God, that's even long.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's still a small period, I would say, in terms of other businesses that we talk about. That's still a smaller period. Okay, so as you just mentioned that Shubham, there are points and struggles where uh, clients are coming in where the results are not there, and then you have these people leaving and everything. So these are the regular struggles of any business, right?
Right.
So
Right.
if there are two questions right now. One is what is the current struggle that you're really going with apart from the pandemic, right? In terms of business,
Mhm.
what is your current struggle? And if you have a good story in terms of the struggle, maybe someone leaving or some client story which you can share with us, that would be really amazing.
All
A
right,
struggle
all right,
story, right?
all right. So just to answer your first question, which was, I think, related to, if you could
Current
pardon.
struggles, right? The current
All right.
struggles that your business is going with.
Yes, yes. So the current, as such, we were actually looking to expand before the pandemic
Hmm.
started. We were looking to take a new office in Mumbai, and that was something which we had in mind. So the
Okay,
current struggle is expansion as such.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
and with the other aspects, we have been pretty privileged that, a lot of people have switched from their on ground marketing to digital marketing, which has again given us a lot of work to look after. So all the other
Hmm.
aspects have been pretty good with that.
Okay,
And
okay. And the
to
second
address your
part,
second, yes.
right?
So story as such, when it comes to crisis, I remember actually around when we just got started, around six or
Mm-hmm.
7 months into the business. So there came a time where we were running very low on cash, and
Mm-hmm.
I had almost two options to give, either I could pay out the salaries, or I could give out the rents at that time.
Okay.
So there's two things piling up, and only one thing was possible at that time to be done. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I decided this needs to be talked out to with the team. So I called a team meeting, and I was like, so this is the scenario, guys, and we are running quite low. So these are the, a lot of people had joined in after the, in the first year, in the first 6 months. I guess we grew from 3 employees plus one, that is me, to
Mm-hmm.
almost 7 employees plus one.
Okay.
So so we were growing at that time, and
Mm-hmm.
so these are new faces, and I told them that this is a scenario, and I have to either get this done or get this done. So some of you are going to be getting paid less this month, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna either transfer that fund to the rents and the payments which we have to make, or probably all the money goes to you. So you guys have, the ball is in your court. You guys decide and tell me that what should we do.
Ha ha ha.
So after a while, so all of these guys told me that we could pay the rent first, and the salaries could be skipped for the next month. And that was really generous at that time. I felt it was a really sweet gesture which came from them, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect people who had just joined you for 2 or 3 months to come down and tell you those things. So
Mm-hmm.
that is something which was very generous of them, and by God's grace, all the other months turned out to be better than what we had faced at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that is
Oh,
something which I in a way always cherish, that when your employees treat the company as a family, you a lot of things become easy at that time.
right, right. I get it. I completely understand. Okay, so Shubham, next thing that comes up is that when we talk, well, this is one of the experiences. Another thing that that happens in business a lot of times is that there is one experience, right? One experience of or a failure or some hiccup that happens in a business that teaches us a huge lesson, right? So if I
Right.
talk about your business journey and your entrepreneurial journey, what's the experience or what is the failure that you have faced that has taught you a huge lesson and changed you altogether as a person?
Oh yeah. So there was a client which I was working for. We
Mm-hmm.
were relatively new at that time, and so this was a big name in the industry, and
Mm-hmm.
I was literally dying to work for them. We could say that. I so
Okay.
wanted to work for them that so everything got finalized. I told them that, all right, let's get aboard. We'll be on board, and we'll get everything to the perfect. We'll reach the bar what you are looking for.
Ha ha ha.
And being a big name and big brand to work with, I
Ha ha.
decided that we'll get the work done first, and then probably look after the payments and all of that.
Okay.
So I was relatively new at that time, so I was not really known that this is
Ha
how
ha.
which you need to work accordingly. So we get the
Right.
project done, we deliver to them, and so I get a general mail from them suggesting that they have some policy which works around 60 to 90 days to get the payments done.
Ha
And I
ha
was
ha.
pretty calm that that it is a big name, so any which ways I'm getting paid.
Ha.
So almost after two months have passed, I drop in a mail to ask about what is the current scenario, where are the payments stuck in,
Ha.
and I get a mail which suggests that the work was not up to the mark, and that is why they are not really paying us anymore.
Oh, okay.
So that, in a way, hit me where it hurts the most. That, because there were other people involved, and there were people who had, given their sweat to make that campaign happen. And if those guys don't get paid, then that is the worst scenario for a company, or as a MD. That is something which I would never like to do. So it taught
Right.
me a lot of taught me a lot of things, that when
Okay.
so you're gonna find those dimes as well. You just have to be particular
So
about it.
how did you tackle the situation after that? Did you get the payment in any manner, or did you let it go?
I completely let it go, because I was relatively new, as I said. So that was a time when I was relatively new into the industry. Uh,
Hmm.
I I didn't knew at that time that how to handle this situation, or how do you in a way take it over from here, probably get those payments on how do you make it happen. So my at that moment, the first thing which clicked in my mind was that there's no point in having a fight and then getting this thing done. It's always good that you take it as an experience. You feel that all right, whatever has happened, it has happened. You cannot change it. Just go ahead and not make the same mistake again, over and over again.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
I completely get it. Okay, so moving on to the next question, Shubham, that was something really interesting. I find that
Uh-huh.
you learned from that experience, and I mean, I'm just thinking about it, that how you would have probably felt during that time, and you probably couldn't even tell your people out there that such and such thing has happened,
Right.
right?
Right.
If I really want to ask one thing at this point of time, when you were doing the business, how what was your major support system? Like, who was there to support you? I mean, apart from your mom, how did you really manage yourself when you needed all the support that you were looking for? How do you deal with that? How did you deal with all that situations?
Um, I would say as such, there's just mom which was there, and then I had a bunch of friends who I could.
Mm-hmm.
We never spoke business with each other, but then
Mm-hmm.
there's this people who you could go and relax a bit, and in a way
Right.
wash off that stress what you have had on your shoulders, and then come back with another
Mm-hmm.
with the fresh spirit again to get things done.
Right.
So I've had this
Right.
couple of friends who have been with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, coming on this part, from riches to rags to back to riches, and the business is, I'm pretty sure, doing well right now, going on
True.
well.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I really want to ask is,
Uh-huh.
all this while you have had the motivation that you want to get back to the life you had earlier,
Right. Right.
right? And that has been driving you.
Correct.
And for the very same, before I really quote the question, I would also quote something that Shah Rukh Khan once said,
Uh-huh.
that the reason uh, I am successful is because I I'm scared of the failure. I'm scared to face the failure again and again.
Correct.
And I that's the reason I work so hard that I become successful. Okay, so if I talk about your life journey, the failure or the fear could be going back to that rags, right?
Definitely.
So I wouldn't say that there won't be times when you won't be hit by those thoughts in your head, that
Hmm.
what if this thing goes down, what if something or the other sort of thing happens with me, or for any xyz reason this thing goes down. How do you manage that fear, hitting back those rags? Because as we all know right now, that you're the sole person
Right.
who runs the show,
Right.
both family and the business, right?
Right.
So how do you really manage that fear?
Oh, because actually, in a way, the what happens is when you see the very bottom of where you could hit, um, you in a way lose fear, I would say, because that is what has been the case with me. That I
Mm-hmm.
in a way lost fear about going back there, because it was like इससे खराब हो ही नहीं सकता. I cannot go more down. इससे और क्या ही
Right.
हो जाएगा.
Right, 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 right.
That is what keeps
Perfectly
me going.
understand. Right. Perfectly, I get it. Okay, so next thing that comes up, Shubham, is that what are your cash flow and the money management plans in terms of business and the personal life? We talk about it.
Oh, I have.
How do you manage the money man? How do you manage your money?
That is something which I learned quite, I would say, a bit late. When I started, I wasn't
Hmm.
really. Uh, the business started, it started growing, booming came in, the money came in, but I wasn't really sure. I was not. In a way, I didn't had that knowledge at that time that you actually need to manage the money to keep the flow going, or to to
Hmm.
reinvest it into something. So that is something which
Hmm.
I learned after some time. And so I met, again, it is same, a friend of mine who had recently passed out to become CA, and he used to work in Mumbai, BKC. So so we
Okay.
meet, at so we decided that we'll just catch up and see what life has been doing to both of us. So
Hmm.
that is when it hit me. He tells me that all of this has been going on, and then there are people who make a lot of money, but they are not saving it, reinvesting it. So that is what is going wrong with them, and they're going to know it 20 years later. And that is when it hit us like,
Right.
oh shit, that is, he's talking about me at this moment.
Okay.
He's not
Okay.
knowing it, but he's talking about me. So
Right.
that is where it hits me. It had hit me, and I told him that, dude, you're talking about me at this moment. And he's like, that is the last thing I want to hear from you. That is you.
Right.
So
Right.
that is when the management and all of that started. So he in a way guided me through. And at this moment, he's the same guy who looks after the, with two or three more. He's into that team, which core the core team which looks after the finances and all of that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So now you have got your investments and everything in place, I would say.
true, true. Yeah, I feel
Uh,
so.
you feel so.
I definitely feel so. With the right guys on board,
Uh-huh.
I it is. I would say that financial education is something which people are never talk. We don't talk about it in India, right? I mean,
I know.
we never talk about it. Nobody told me कि पैसे को बचा के invest करना होता है.
I know.
The only thing which we are told is that you make money and then you do whatever you want to with it. That is your money. So people need to be taught about it, because I was privileged that somebody came in and he educated me about how it goes, and how important it is
Hmm.
to have to know where your money is going, and to not to know, and to make those balance sheets which you find so boring, because they are going to run your
Hmm.
future after a while.
Right. I know. I know. I know.
Right.
I can
Yes.
completely understand that. Okay, so you've learned your money management that way. That's quite
True.
interesting. Yeah, you've got a good story. You've got good people around you who have taught you a lot of stuff. That's really
So that is
nice.
what I say. There's always, these are the people who have in a way kept me to the ground, because when I look back, there are a lot of people who have in a way guided me knowingly or unknowingly through those
Hmm.
dark alleys which you go.
Right. I can understand.
Yeah.
I can completely understand that. Okay, so moving on. The next question that comes up is Shubham. Are you a money minded person?
I was, as of now I'm not.
Oh,
I was a person who I valued money a lot more than I value it today. When 2 years back I was that guy, but when I look today, it is more about founding profound relations and building on good things which you have in life.
right, 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 right. That's nice. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
nice.
but
Okay,
it is
so
important.
Shubham, right, but it's definitely important. So Shubham, there's
Right.
another thing that I want to ask that
Uh-huh.
every entrepreneur I talk to, many of them have some bigger than life goals. Do you have a bigger than life goal?
Um, no, as of now, I won't call it bigger than life, but my goal is to just expand the company where
Hmm.
I am satisfied with it to a certain extent.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
There's not
Okay,
something which
okay.
I expect from it in a way, there's no starry things which I expect.
Hmm, hmm,
Uh,
hmm.
as
Hmm.
time has passed, and as years have gone by, I've realized that the more uh, it is at the end, it is all about finding what you feel is right, rather than just having those bigger than life goals where it has a yacht inside it, it has a plane, or all of that things, all of this materialistic
Hmm.
thing. It is more about
Hmm.
growing your company, where in
Right.
my case it is about
Right.
growing the company.
Okay. And if I talk about, doing something with the humanity or something of that sort, do you have any
Oh yeah.
goals in that side?
Yes, yes. So, so we run a non-profitable organization which goes by the name as Asha. So I founded it
Okay.
almost a year back, and it was founded basically on the sole purpose of when Dad fought cancer, had we had enough, in a way, assets to cover those expenses.
Right.
A lot of people don't have them. A lot of people uh, have to go through that agony plus the mental stress of
Mm-hmm.
paying for it. So
Right.
that is how we started Ashai, which is again a non-profitable organization where we treat
Mm-hmm.
these patients. So once somebody comes in, we either treat him till he's completely fine, or we'll treat him
Right.
till he's no more.
Wow.
So it goes in that way. So uh, because I've seen a lot of people are, I when I used to visit hospitals, there were this general wards where people used to be left out, and the family never came and showed up because they had to pay for it. So
My goodness.
yeah, so watching that is something, all these people need is people around, to motivate them and tell them about how good things can be. At least if you cannot save them, at least you can make those last days better, right?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a very noble job, I would say, and you've picked up something from what you've seen. So that makes it, I
Right.
would say, a very much personalized thing that you're doing out there. I've got no words to say, but yes, this is really amazing. This is genuinely very amazing. Okay, so moving on, I don't think so that there's any other question that I'm left
Uh-huh.
with that I would want to ask you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but there's one thing. Matlab, I honestly love stories. Okay,
Right,
so although
right.
you have told us a lot of stories, and
Uh-huh.
I guess I've already asked this in different sides of the business, but
Right.
if there's one story that you would really want to share with us, something which is always reminded to you of your business in your business, why don't you share that? Like any
Um,
one story, it could be.
all right. So a story which reminds me of my business, or like the growth of my
Like a
business.
story which is it could be any story, like any story which has reminded you again and again in your business. Any story. It could be a happy story, a sad story, a motivational story,
All
anything.
right, all right, all right. Um, yeah. So there's a story. I mean, it is not really a story. It is something which has happened. So I
Yeah.
bought my first car sometime
Okay.
back. So that was
Okay.
something which I was really proud of. I mean, yeah, it was a small car, but again, it was for me, the world.
Right.
So so yeah, I remember I went down to the bank. I talked to the guys. I told him that I'm buying a new car, and why don't you guys lend me some money to get the
Huh.
car rolling? All right. So
Right.
so I was in talks with bank, and at the very after almost we had almost finalized everything, and
Huh.
we ended a quarter there, and I realized that whatever salary I mean I take salary from my company, so in a way that
Right.
I have
Right.
I have managed it in a way that so that I don't touch all the funds there. So
Right.
uh, so with that I realized that, oh no, I don't actually have to take a loan. I have enough inside it. So mom, there's something which was left, and mom came in at the last moment and she told me that that she has saved some money which we have been taking as to for the home expenditure. So that is how
Ha.
I got the car, and so the loan has we did need to take the loan, and we got the car. So that was something which made me really happy at that time.
Wow, that's sweet. That's really sweet, yeah. Okay, so Shubham, as I already
Uh-huh.
said, that there's nothing more that I am personally left with to
Right.
ask you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I guess with that, we are at the end of the podcast, and before we end it, there's this thing that we do always, that I
Okay.
ask my guest, to recommend us another entrepreneur whom you think has a
All right.
very inspiring journey, who
Uh-huh.
can we can call on the show and talk about. So whom would you
Sure.
recommend?
Oh, I have a friend. I have a friend in Pune,
Hmm.
and he's a lawyer basically. But
Okay.
he's had his own entrepreneurial journey. But I have two recommendations for you. I hope you don't mind, right?
No, no, not at all. Please, definitely.
Yeah. So there's a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he's a Pune-based lawyer, and I would really like to recommend you to him.
Okay.
And there's another Mr. Vishal Methi, who's
Okay.
again in Pune, and he runs a entrepreneurs network as such. So these are the two people who I want to recommend, and I feel they have a very profound journey as such, where I mean a lot of things are there to be learned from.
Wow, then I really look forward to getting them on the show, and I hope that you
Sure.
can connect me with them, and I'll make sure that you
Sure.
have each other's link before, and you guys can learn from each other, and we all also can learn. So with that said, guys, this was Shubham Patil with us. Such an amazing journey and a very blunt and amazing journey. Someone telling themselves and something that you can actually look at going from riches to rags to riches. A very life story and a very different story. Something that is different and is actually teaching a lot. Something I would say that gives you a reason to do a business sometimes and not really jumping into a job. And
Right.
that's really amazing. And I would say that's a very ballsy thing to do. You jumped into a business instead of really picking up a job at the very beginning of that part where you started your career. So that's a very ballsy thing to really start with the business.
Right.
So, and that too at a
It's all
very
about trust.
stage where, right, when there was no backup behind you. So
Right.
that's even ballsier, yeah. So with that said, guys, if you are listening to this or if you know anyone, who requires any sort of marketing or PR work, whom to contact, Shubham is there in Pune and Bombay and
Of
Bangalore
course.
and probably all of India.
Oh, we
I
are
would say
everywhere.
wherever
We are
you.
everywhere.
Right. So right now digitization is happening, so every company is everywhere. But yes,
Definitely.
majorly Pune and Bombay. So if you want to get the work done, do contact Shubham for your work. And yes, I would like to end like, Shubham, I'm really, really thankful to you for
Hey,
finally
thank
taking
you.
out time. Uh, this has been long pending and finally we're able to do it.
All right.
Thank you so
Right.
much for
All
coming
right.
on the show. And I
Thank
really
you.
look forward to meeting you soon.
Sure, Sarthak. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Shubham. Bye bye. See ya. I hope that you're able to take back something insightful from this podcast and apply it in your life to be a better version of yourself and add to your Dhandhoni Soch. If you know someone whom you think should feature on my podcast and has a very inspiring entrepreneurial journey, then do drop me a DM on my Instagram SarthakVarshney. Sarthak Varshney. Yeah, that's me. I'm the founder of SV Clicks and SV Clicks is the producer of this show. You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn as well with the same name. If you're willing to listen to more of such unheard, inspiring stories of the entrepreneurs, then don't forget to follow us by pressing that follow button on your podcast screen. Thank you for being such an amazing audience. Keep learning, keep growing. We'll be back soon. See ya.